Congrats! Your newest customer just signed your quote or paid your invoice. But are you still celebrating by manually dragging those deals into a closed won stage? Well, I'm going to show you how you can automate that in today's HubSpot hack. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. You should know you do need access to either Sales Professional or Sales Enterprise to automate this workflow. So I just thought you should know that before we actually get started. But first things first, you're obviously going to log into HubSpot. So taking a look at my deal board here, you can see I've got a couple stages here. This is a test pipeline. It's all some fake data, but I've got my closed won stage here, and I can manually grab deals. I can move them into closed won, or I can go into the deal itself and to move it to closed won. But we actually have some triggers that we can automate around if we know that a deal's been won. For example, if they've signed a quote or paid an invoice. So to build that workflow, first thing you want to do is navigate over to the left-hand side to Automation and click Workflows. We'll click Create Workflow up here at the top, and we're going to start from scratch as we build this out. Now on the left, we're going to think about the triggers that we want. So we're going to be using this one to meet a filter criteria, since we know that it's going to be based around a quote being signed or an invoice being paid, for example. So we'll say meet filter criteria. And this is, while we are going to be using those other objects as our triggers, this will be centered around a deal. So we're going to want to use our deal as our main object for this workflow. So now we've selected deal as our main criteria for this workflow. We're going to go to change what we want to filter on. And that's where we're going to use the quote object. So you could scroll down here, look through all the different objects inside HubSpot you can automate based on. We have a couple custom objects in here in our test portal, but to make it easy, I'm just going to search for quote. And now my quote information pops up. So we're going to base this workflow around the quote e-sign date. So if I come over here and hover over this on the I, you'll see this is the date and time the document has been signed by all signers. So if you are asking for multiple signatures on these quotes, this workflow will not trigger until all signers that are required on it have signed it. So if we click the e-sign date, we're going to want to change this from is today to just is known. And what that will do is anytime that date becomes known, all signatures are completed on the quote, this workflow is going to fire off. So we've taken care of e-signature being done. Now we want to add on if an invoice or quote has been paid. So we're going to do the or filter here to add a new criteria. And again, we're going to go off the quote object. And then we're going to search for payment. So again, hovering over payment date, this is the date that the quote was actually paid by the customer. So we'll do payment date, and we're going to do the same thing, is known. We're going to add in one more filter criteria just in case this is relevant to you. We're going to do or, and then we're going to actually search for the invoice object inside of HubSpot, and we're going to say payment date is also known for your invoices. This is just me trying to cross all my T's and dot my I's for you guys based on how you're running your business, because everybody does this a little bit differently. Once we have our criteria set, which we do, we're going to click next, and then we have re-enrollment on. So this is not something that you would want on, because if somebody signs your quote or pays it, that is your trigger for it to be won. So we're going to leave re-enrollment off for this one, since they won't be signing or paying the same deal more than once. And then we're going to click to save and continue. Now on the left-hand side, we're going to want to search for the actions that we want to take place on this, this is going to be pretty simple. It's at the basic level going to be a one-step workflow to now move our deal into our closed won stage. So we're going to search for, you could search for edit record or set, and then it will automatically know what you're looking for. But the one we're going to want here is CRM to edit record. And then we're going to want to set the deal stage, deal pipeline and stage, and then search for the one that we're looking for. So I'm just going to search for a closed won, and we'll do our demo sales pipeline and click save. So whenever our enrollment criteria is hit, the deal is going to move into closed won. Now this is a very, very basic setup, assuming you only have one pipeline. You might want to set this up for multiple pipelines. So I'm actually going to delete this step here, delete this action only, and I'm going to add in some if-then branches. So I'm going to search for, you could search for branch or search or select it right here at the top. I'm going to branch, And then I'm going to do it on some and or logic. And I'm going to say that it's my demo sales pipeline will be the first one. Add in my criteria. And then we're going to search for deal properties that the pipeline is demo sales pipeline. Then we're going to add another branch for another one of my pipelines. And we're going to say this would be my test pipeline that you saw there. I'm going to add another criteria again and deal properties. Once again, I'm going to search for pipeline and I'm going to do is my test pipeline. Once I'm happy, I'm going to click save. And now I have my 2 pipelines built out here. So I'm going to redo that step. I'm going to search for I'm going to click CRM and I'm going to go down to edit record. And then I'm going to set the deal stage to closed won. Looks like a little typo there. And this is my demo sales pipeline and save it. I'm going to use a little HubSpot tip here is there's some action items down here to clone or move steps. So I'm actually going to clone this one and move it over here to test pipeline. It really only saves me a couple clicks in this instance, but it can be valuable for other use cases. And then I just need to make sure I change the pipeline that this is. So I'm going to, instead of it being the demo one, this is my test one. So I'm going to go to close one test. And now based on the pipeline that your deal was in, we'll move it into the correct closed won stage. Now you might be wondering what you want to do with this none met section over here on the right. I actually like to use this as a best practice to track for any errors. So say in the future I create a new pipeline and I forgot to set this automation up, I'm going to set in a notification to myself to send an internal email. So I'm going to do communications, send an internal email, and I'm going to do myself. So you can pick specific users, you can do teams or owners. So I'm also going to alert the deal owner on it. And I'm going to say automation not complete, unknown pipeline. And then you can write anything else like look into this. It also might be smart to include a link to the workflow. So I just might not been able to see that off screen, but grabbing a link to the workflow will be included in the notification, and I'm going to save it. Now, one more fun thing that I always like to add are a team notification to like a Slack channel or a Teams channel, something like that, to celebrate this win that you guys just brought on a new customer. So I'm going to add a step here in the workflow, and I'm going to search. So in our instance, we're going to use Slack. I'm going to send a Slack notification. And we have again, you can do users, you can do channels or existing owners. I'm going to send it to a wins channel that we have to celebrate all of our team wins. And then I'm going to enter a message like new deal won. Let's celebrate. You can include some deal properties in this as well. Like you might want to include the deal name. So you can put deal name. You can put in the amount. You can put in a message like great job, and you can put in the deal owner name. And then my personal favorite is adding in a little bit of a celebration gift to things as well. So you can get a gift, add it to your HubSpot files. This is again my personal preference and our team seems to love it. We have this quote here from Happy Gilmore that I was too busy winning. So then this will be included in the message that goes out to everyone. We're going to copy the URL and then go back to that workflow. Then go back to that workflow and paste the URL in here. There we go. And now that fun GIF will pop up at the bottom every single time a deal is won. So I'm going to click save. And then we also want this for the other pipeline. So a nice little trick here will be, we do not need to clone this action and move it to the other side. What we're going to use is HubSpot's go to action. So we're going to do go to action, and then we're just going to send it over here once it reaches this step. And that's it. Our workflow is all built. Last thing we might want to do is just come up here and give the workflow a name. So I like to use this tool where where I just type in workflow and it pops up my naming convention. So it'll just say automate deal 1. Our triggers will be e-sign, quote paid, and then action will be automate deal move to closed 1. I always like to include like key terms you might search for when you're searching for these workflows. And then I'm going to generate a description here using AI. You do need to do this after the workflow is built, otherwise it wouldn't obviously be able to know what the workflow does. And click save. Last thing to do is click review and publish. So again, some more housekeeping things. It's going to ask you, do you want to enroll everyone who currently meets this criteria? If you say yes, it's going to send out a bunch of Slack notifications for any deals that you have closed won in the past. So for this instance, we're going to want to make sure that we say no. We only want this for deals moving forward. And we're going to click next to go through the rest of the workflows, like if we want this to run during specific times, what else is impacted by this. So we have some an integration here with Slack is impacted. Final workflow details, and then we're going to turn this workflow on. So that's it. Now we're really cooking. Our sales pipeline is automated to move a deal to closed won. I hope you enjoyed this HubSpot hack. Make sure you like and subscribe, and happy HubSpotting.